All right, thank you all for joining us today on our presentation on the future of StructionSite. My name is Philip, one of the co-founders of StructionSite, and joining me today will be Tom, our new VP of Product. A quick introduction on our backgrounds. I started off as a project engineer working for a large general contractor where I was involved with managing subs and implementing technologies. Afterwards, I started Rhythm, a software company focused on democratizing analysis of reality capture data from 3D scanners, which was responsible actually for helping to start reality capture capabilities for the first time for many GCs and contractors across the nation. And I've also been directly involved with various national standards groups, such as being the vice chair at the USIBD to write and push new standards for data exchange across the building lifecycle. Currently, I'm the chief of data and strategy at StructionSite, where I drive the long-term vision and strategy for how we will make an impact on the industry. Now on to Tom to explain his background.
Hey everyone. My background has been building technology products in difficult industries for over 10 years. Most recently, I was one of the first product hires at PlanGrid, working on field productivity tools there. And then when we joined Autodesk, I was leading field productivity across PlanGrid and BIM 360, and recently joined StructionSite as the VP of product.
Thanks, Tom. So now for our agenda today, we'll talk about our story so far and how we got to where we are today. Then we're going to share what these stories have taught us, which have defined our principles as a company and our product. And lastly, we'll be going over where this is all going to be taking us and into the future. So it's important to understand how we think and how we determine what direction we should go as a product and a company in order to understand why I believe StructionSite will be around for the long term and why I think we're the horse to bet on. So our story begins really in the field. Before getting the software, I was one of you. I was a project engineer who managed subs while also helping with new technology implementation. A focus on reality capture and BIM kind of being a big part of my job. That's where I experienced firsthand the challenges and pains that come with trying to coordinate complex projects along with different people who have different incentives. I work closely with superintendents, and when you're trying to implement new technology in a fast-paced environment like construction, it's got to be practical, and it's got to provide immediate value. Otherwise, it won't be used. One of the biggest challenges back then, and still is today, is really getting everyone on the same page at the same time. The experience of emailing back and forth to schedule an in-person physical job site visit with all the relevant stakeholders was super inefficient. That's where the initial idea for StructionSite was born. The idea was to create a way for people to visit their job sites remotely, to see what was happening on site from anywhere. After my first software venture at Rhythm, I pitched the idea to Matt Daly, who left his job selling 3D laser scanners, to start StructionSite along with me, along with two other technical co-founders, Dan Zito and Manuel Zamora, to create a best-in-class web and mobile experience. And together, we built and released our initial app in 2017. The result was an intuitive app that seamlessly integrated 360 camera hardware with mobile devices and PDF maps to provide a context-rich job site experience, virtual job site experience. After our initial traction, we realized that we were not done yet. At StructionSite, we don't make decisions on where to take our company from ivory towers. We use and test our own apps in the field alongside with users so that we can build a great customer experience. What better way to do this than to use our own app to capture the new Warriors Arena in San Francisco? It became painfully obvious when I had to manually walk millions of square feet alongside some of my team members on a weekly basis to capture site conditions, and having to stop every 10 seconds to capture a site, to take a photo, really started to take a toll on me physically and emotionally. It was a lot of steps. And that's when I decided that we needed to focus our efforts on developing video walk. And with this, we create a streamlined way of capturing the job site through video rather than photos, and having your path automatically mapped to a drawing to create a nice virtual tour. And the result was an even more streamlined experience for capturing the site at scale that increased the speed of capture by over 5 times, made your capture way more thorough, and allowed users to capture these job sites way more often with ease. And now that we had solved some of the biggest challenges related to capturing what was happening on site, we realized that there was actually a gold mine of information waiting to be harnessed from the millions of square feet of data that were constantly being captured with StructionSite. We could actually directly translate what was going on in the field and answer a critical question: what actually got done? Answering this question directly is critical to ensuring that the project stays on track and on budget, just the basic tenets of a good construction project. And to answer that question, I had to go back out to the field to see how people actually did it. That's when I interned part-time last summer for a drywall contractor and experienced firsthand how things got done today. And I found that the current process of tracking things, if done at all, and if done properly, to be super tedious and error prone. And it was also subject to lots of human biases. That's when I realized that there was an opportunity to take StructionSite to the next level. Beyond being just a site capture tool, and into directly analyzing what was happening in reality to create metrics and really track the progress of construction across time so that we can gather insights for customers and really answer the question, what actually got done at scale? Now, the more that you use StructionSite, the more valuable your data becomes. Everything that you are capturing today with StructionSite can eventually be used to analyze how your projects went. And we want to allow you to be more competitive and proactive across the project lifecycle, from bidding to the construction, analyze trends. So with this, we became a much more data-driven company. However, our story is far from done, and we're continuing to learn more and more and make a bigger impact every day. But I'd like to share some of the core principles that I've gathered from our story that will guide us into the future as we continue to build and innovate with you. First of all, at StructionSite, we focus on doing what's needed, not what's flashy. Spending time on job sites teaches you to avoid getting distracted too much by technology that only looks good. I mean, there's definitely some amazing things that are coming out these days that we definitely spend time researching, which we'll go over later. But at the end of the day, it's important to prove the value and practicality of a new innovation on the project. With superintendents, PEs, PMs, and agile project staff, before we decide to actually invest into building it. Another core principle, which is why we are deeply involved as leaders within organizations such as the U.S. Institute of Building Documentation and the Construction Progress Coalition, is that you should own your own data that you've spent so much time capturing. We won't hold your data hostage, and we're committed to allowing you to share it and use it in a non-proprietary format throughout the building lifecycle so that your data will stand the test of time. Another thing we want to do at StructionSite is make sure that we give you a superpower, not a supercomputer. What that means is that we want to build technology that is practical and easy to learn, that will give an immediate benefit without having to invest a ton of time and resources in order to get value from it. And all of this really boils down to 3 aspects of our product that's allowed us to gain traction with project teams over the years. Number 1, our project needs to be intuitive, such that it requires little to no training to get started and only minimal training to get things scaled up within your company. We also need to be highly reliable. We seek to build bulletproof and reliable workflows coupled with best-in-class support team to ensure that we pull through for you in your time of need. And lastly, we understand the importance of winning the field. We rely on the people in the field to actually do the capture so that the rest of the team can benefit from it. There is actually one company that I've drawn a lot of inspiration from that has fully embodied these principles, a construction tech company called PlanGrid. And we happened to hire one of their early product managers who was key to implementing these principles. In order to focus more on a longer-term strategy and goals, I've passed the torch on with regards to being the head of product to our new VP of product at StructionSite to execute on our product principles. With that said, I'd like to hand it over to Tom.
Thanks, Philip. So as mentioned, this isn't my first experience of construction. I actually fell in love with the industry back in 2015 when I joined PlanGrid, a company that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. Back then, Tracy and the other founders gave me two jobs. The first was to figure out what it would take for foremen and superintendents to be able to get their jobs done faster and get home to their families earlier every day. The second was to talk to customers in a reassuringly British accent. And that second job was a lot easier than the first. Within 2 weeks of joining the company, I was crawling through an industrial ventilation shaft behind a superintendent, trying to watch him do his punch walk. And I realized that my next task was to figure out how to make it much easier to use an iPad whilst having gloves on. At that point, I realized that this is an industry like no other. The tools that you need not only need to be powerful, but they need to be incredibly reliable and incredibly easy to use and pick up from the first time you open up the app. Now, Procore, PlanGrid, and others really paved the way for that first wave of innovation, bringing technology to the field. Now we're seeing a new wave of innovation powered by reality capture and AI that's bringing the field back to the office and beyond. And today I'd like to talk more about that future and talk more about where StructionSite as a company sees that future going. We see three big questions that are still incredibly hard to answer and need to be answered in this order. Firstly, what did the job look like today, or last month, or last year? Secondly, what got done, and does that mean that you're on track? And thirdly, is it done correctly? We see a new category of construction software tools emerging to answer these questions. And we call it intelligent project tracking. This software category is going to be essential to making sure that your projects are running smoothly and ultimately you and all of your partners are making money and delivering fantastic results to your customers. And we at StructionSite see ourselves at the forefront of this category. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about what that future could look like. Now, some of the things I'm going to talk about are things we're actively building and will be available for you to use soon. Other things that we're experimenting with and may never actually go live in the product. I want to talk about both because I know that when you invest in StructionSite, you're not just investing in the product as it is today, you're investing in us as a team and our vision for the future. Ultimately, we're going to be focused on building the things that have the most amount of impact for you and your team. And so that vision is going to adapt as we learn more from you. But we're going to talk about where we see that vision today, and let's jump into how we're going to explore those three critical questions for you. Our current site documentation product is really geared around answering this fundamental question for you. Now, we've done fantastic work here already, but we know that there's still lots to do. Many of you have been using our video walk functionality to make it even faster to capture information and turn it into that Google Street View-like experience of your job site. Although we released this over a year ago, we've been continually investing in our technology to make that faster and more accurate every day. We've actually made it 10 times faster in the last 6 months alone. And that's with dealing with exponential growth in usage as COVID has made site documentation an even more necessary part of everyday work. And we're going to be continually investing in this to make it even more powerful and faster for you every single day moving forwards. Now, right now, we've invested a lot in 360 photography because we know that it's the cheapest and fastest way to get that view of reality. But we're not a 360 photography company. Our focus is to be the repository of all your reality data, no matter where and when it's being captured. Whatever you're using, we want to be there with you, whether it's 360 cameras or the Boston Dynamics Spot or other robots, drones, indoor and outdoor, laser scanners for that much more highly accurate view of reality, or time-lapse cameras. Whatever it is, we're creating partnerships to make sure all of that information you gather can be organized, analyzed, and made sense of in StructionSite. And this is not just a view of the future, this is happening today. We have customers such as Andrus Construction here who've been using the DJI RoboMaster to do automated capture. Other customers have already been trialing Spot the Dog with StructionSite and getting it to do video walks for them. We're also seeing many customers uploading drone footage directly into the app. We believe that autonomous capture is the future, and we're setting up the right partnerships to make sure that future can happen within our product. And once we have all this information, we can do some incredible things with it. Here, you're seeing some real-life reconstructions from experimental technology that we're building today to create a fully interactive and detailed point cloud just using the photos and video walks in StructionSite. Now, this is going to allow for some incredibly exciting things. Not only can you do some really practical things like get detailed measurements or start to build models of existing conditions, but this is also going to power some really valuable functionality that we're working on in the future, and I'll talk about in a little bit. Now, this is generated from photos, but we know that for certain critical work, you need highly detailed and precise understanding of work in place. And for that, you're going to need laser scanners. And laser scanning is in our DNA. As Philip mentioned, many of you are using our Rhythm product to manage and monitor your concrete pours today. Now we're exploring how to incorporate that laser scanning data alongside your photos to build that even richer reality understanding. We're looking to see how we can make it easy to upload the data into StructionSite, show you both the detailed point clouds alongside those high resolution images that those scanners take. And that's really powerful for those of you who are using those powerful tools. But we also want to be there when all you have is a phone in your pocket. And that's why we're incredibly excited to be exploring the capabilities of the new iPhone 12 Pro with LiDAR technology. We see this as an incredibly easy way to capture that three-dimensional space. And not only could this allow you to do things such as quick measurements, but it might also completely replace the need for 360 cameras or perhaps even laser scanners to give you that accurate and detailed understanding of your job site. We really love this because it falls within our ethos of making it simple and easy to get your work done. Now, as we're becoming the repository for all your reality capture information, it's fundamental to us that you should be able to do whatever you want with your data. That's why we're committed to providing an open API that allows you to connect to any other tools that you're using, whether that's ERP systems, project management tools, or any other great products that are going to help you be more productive. We believe that closed silos are not only damaging to your business, but they're also damaging to innovation in the industry. And we want to fuel that innovation wherever we can. As an example, we're working with SmartVid to allow customers to get photos from StructionSite, have them analyzed by SmartVid to detect safety incidents, have that tagged and sent back into StructionSite for you to be able to organize, manage, and share that information where you need to. This is just one of the many integrations we're working on and really excited to be able to show you early next year. Now, we know that your software is only as powerful as how often it's used by your teams. For those of you responsible for deploying new tools and processes, we know you need real-time understanding of how and when those tools are being used. That's why I'm incredibly excited to announce our new enterprise analytics product. This allows you to have real-time and detailed information about how StructionSite is being used across your company, your projects, and down to the individual user. This will give you unparalleled insight into knowing how your teams are adopting StructionSite and whether they're following the processes that you laid out for them. And this is something that's going to be available for you in the next coming weeks. We're committed not just to showing you this information within our product, but we also want to connect this to Power BI or any of the other analytics tools you're using to power your business. So that's everything we see as essential for site documentation. But the next step is to use our artificial intelligence skills to answer the next most critical question. What got done? And does that mean that you're on track to hit your milestone and make money? This is where our most recent product, SmartTrack, comes into play. With incredibly high degree of accuracy, we're able to take the video walks that you're doing on a weekly basis and automatically analyze them to tell you quantities installed and percent complete for all of your drywall and framing scopes of work. As a drywall and framing contractor, for the first time ever, you're getting an automated view of your production, and it removes all of the guesswork and negotiation that's required to get paid for the work that you've done. For general contractors or owners, you're also removing any of the guesswork from understanding if your trade partners are on track, and if not, where the problems are. And this is critical because we know that you need those insights as soon as that's happening, not when it's impacting your schedule and already too late to do anything about it. And this first iteration has been around drywall and framing, but we're rapidly exploring all the critical scopes of work so that every trade has access to automated and accurate production tracking. This also allows us to give general contractors and owners a high-level view of all of your critical path. And as we said, this work is ongoing at the moment, but look out for the next beta that we're very excited to be announcing very soon. Now, where this takes us in the future is also incredibly exciting. We're building an understanding of all of the objects in your video walks to allow you to be able to get a state of progress each day. Now, this is something that we're prototyping right now with WebCore on their SFO project here in San Francisco. We're automatically detecting objects in their video walks and documenting when they first appear and when work on them is completed. This has given the project team the most accurate view of progress that they've ever had, and allowing them to truly understand whether their schedule and estimates really reflect reality. Now, this is a future that we're still working on, but we're incredibly focused on enabling this for all projects, no matter the complexity and size. Now, this last question is perhaps the hardest one for us to answer because we only want to give you answers that we're confident in. And we know when it comes to quality assurance and quality control, even 99% accuracy is not enough because lives are at stake. That's why our focus here is to give you powerful tools to help you make the decisions yourself. So let me explain what I mean by that. The first step is to make sure that problems can be easily flagged as soon as they are noticed. Alongside our existing direct integration with Procore, we're excited to be working on our new integration with BIM 360 issues. This will allow you to create issues from within StructionSite that are sent to BIM 360, allowing your whole team to get those issues resolved and have access to that really detailed view of where those issues are happening. We're committed to making sure that you can do all of your QA/QC and punch list workflows remotely, no matter what platform you're using. We also want to make it even easier to compare design intent from BIM with reality on the ground. And we already have a fantastic Navisworks integration that many of you are using, but we know that not everyone has access to Navisworks in the field. And that's why we're building an integration that you may have heard of already as it was announced at Procore's Groundbreak conference with Procore BIM. This is going to allow you to take models stored on their platform and do a quick heads-up comparison with your photos and video walks in StructionSite. You'll also be able to use all the great features of Procore BIM, such as measurements, layer management, all from within our app. And this is going to be something available early next year. We're also partnering with Autodesk to allow you to do the same functionality with models that you're hosting in the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Now, this is not only great to be able to use in these practical examples, but being fully BIM enabled is going to allow us to unlock even more exciting opportunities. One of the ones I'm most excited about is if we have your BIM model and we're also able to generate point clouds from the information that we know, then what if we could actually bring those two things together and do clash detection with reality? Now, what you're seeing here is the ability to do this manually with our overlay feature in the BIM integration, but we're exploring how we can actually automate this for you. Now, this is still very experimental, but it's a future that we really want to make happen for you. So let's try and wrap all of this up with a single vision for the future. We see a new software category that has a complete historical record of the job site, helps you know what got done, helps you understand if you're on track, and ultimately can even help you determine if the work was done correctly. and it's called intelligent project tracking. This emerging system of record is going to act as your reality capture funnel, allowing you to capture site conditions and completed work from any sensor you can think of. We'll help you analyze it, compare it against a plan, and then share it with all the key project management and ERP systems that your projects use. This allows your teams to spend less time tracking work and more time pushing jobs forwards. So that's our vision of where we want to take the industry. As we've said, we expect this vision to evolve as we learn more from you and your teams. And we're excited to be involved with all of you to make that vision a reality. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we'd love to continue the discussion with you. And please feel free to reach out to me at my email address here whenever you have any questions or comments about our vision and where we're going in the future.